Welcome. Sorry for the video quality. I'm not in my comfort zone right now. I'm unfortunately elsewhere. I'll explain maybe towards the end of the video what the situation is. But as you read in the titles right now, um, I am going to be talking about No Way Home, Spider-Man No Way Home, that I finally got to watch today, December 21st, IMAX, just regular IMAX. I'm going to start off the way I usually do my review videos, and that's with a non spoiler section, moving over to a very spoilery session. This is actually my second take trying to record this video because as I was trying to explain uh, the non spoiler version of this movie, I caught myself saying something that can be implied to happen. So I had to redo this. I'm doing this for a second take right now. Because oh boy, this movie is very easy to spoil if you don't watch out. If you live under a rock and you don't know who Spider-Man is, he's a superhero that's had multiple reincarnations throughout multiple different versions of its movie live action movie ownership by Sony. In the comic books, he's basically a Marvel character, but due to copyright legal reasons, the movie rights went over to Sony, and they've been making the movies for Spider-Man since then. Recently, we got recently, but just recently, I'm talking a couple of years actually already. We got the confirmation that Sony was willing to work with Marvel, which was a huge thing since, for those of you that still don't know, Marvel has made multiple live action movies of their comic book heroes. However, because they didn't have the rights to make Spider-Man movies, they didn't have the capacity to bring that character and bring them along with fellow characters like Captain America, Thor, Hulk, aka the Avengers. So when he got announced to be allowed to work with Marvel and to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, aka MCU, then that was a huge thing for us comic book fans, especially for those that loved Spider-Man like myself. Again, you can't see it right now. I have a shit ton of Spider-Man stuff in my home, in my own place. Right now, unfortunately, because of current situations, I cannot. You're just seeing like a wooden wall right now in the basement. Actually, what the fuck is that? Oh shit. Anyway, quick summary. If you are a Spider-Man movie fan or just a Spider-Man fan in general, and you liked Into the Spider-Verse, you liked Spider-Man 1, Sam Raimi Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2, if you liked the Andrew Garfield's 1 and 2, because again, there's going to be bias. It's fair to admit that some of these movies were not amazing or great. Let's say you did watch Tom Holland's Spider-Man 1 and 2, and you still were iffy about the character. Oh boy. I will say if you just like Spider-Man in general, like comic book wise, or even just cartoon wise, or even like the different incarnations of the character, you're gonna like this movie. It is a roller coaster ride when I tell you that it has stuff for fans and non-fans. Um, it does pick up, and this is not a spoiler, obviously. It does pick up right after Spider-Man Far From Home, so you need to have a concept, a grasp of that. I feel like I feel like that's the one downside to, I guess, these movies, the Tom Holland movies, is that they do rely that you have a little bit of context of the previous movies, and I'm not just talking like the Spider-Man previous movies. I'm talking about also the MCU movies. Um, Far From Home plays a little bit off a different MCU movie that happened before that. I'm not gonna spoil anything on that either if you haven't watched it. Tom Holland's Spider-Man first movie actually plays off something that's already been introduced in a different movie as well, and No Way Home does not play around with that as either. Like, it does clearly take after this, and if you're not familiar with the MCU or certain other aspects, then you may be wondering, okay, I don't really get what's going on right now. Overall, the movie's really well directed. It's beautifully set up. I'll nitpick. There are a couple, and that's only if you really want to nitpick. There are a couple of scenes here and there where you can kind of tell that the green screen is right behind them or blue screen, the CGI effect right behind them. I felt that the lighting was a little bit off, but that's just from a personal perspective, and it doesn't. If you're not paying attention to it, then it's not gonna bother you at all. It didn't bother me. I'm just pointing that out. The score was great, without going into too much detail. Um, Characters play off each other very well, and it was questionable whether or not they could still keep the chemistry between Ned, Mary, MJ, and Tom and Peter Parker, excuse me, in the movie working really well. Especially since last movie, you could get hinted at something among the whole. Oh, I'm Spider-Man's best friend. I'm Peter Parker's best friend. It's kind of like scenario now that MJ knows. And luckily, it still works. Their chemistry between the three of them still works really well. Um, it does a lot for the current Spider-Man character. So it is a very important movie. I feel not just for us Spider-Man fans, but also like the MCU wise. It definitely is a bit. It brings up things that are going to come up in the future. And I remember when you probably saw the trailers already. You know, Doctor Strange is in the movie. I remember when the MCU, aka Kevin Feige, was talking about, okay, Spider-Man is an introduction to what may happen in the future of Marvel movies, and it will be an introduction to Multiverse of Madness, aka Doctor Strange 2. And it's definitely that. It is definitely that. So I feel like, I'm not sure. Again, I can't predict the future. I think that Doctor Strange 2 is definitely going to call back some of these moments over here, but there are other things in this movie that are going to reappear in the future. So, um, and I know people are waiting for this, but ranking among the Spider-Man movies, non-spoiler wise, I would say, huh, I would definitely say that this is it's up there with Spider-Man 2, is up there with Into the Spider-Verse for me. Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2, and Into the Spider-Verse, obviously the animated movie. Holy shit. It's a thing. It's yeah. Unfortunately, as you can probably hear from my voice a little bit, I did get COVID months ago, like early this, but that I mean like early this month, very early this month, and unfortunately I couldn't go to work. I did my quarantine. I got better. I'm still have a little bit of a cough, but where I'm going with this little thing is that I had movie tickets for the midnight premiere of Far From Home, No Way Home, excuse me. Wednesday at midnight, I had premiere tickets. I bought two, one for me and one for my cousin. And unfortunately, because of COVID, I didn't get to experience the full fan experience of the people screaming, because there's a lot of scream moments. If you love Spider-Man, there's a lot of love for this character in this movie. I missed out on that. Unfortunately, the crowd that I had were some kids, some adults. You got a little pop here and there with the good moments, but yeah, no, it wasn't. It wasn't like my Avengers Endgame day one screening experience. Unfortunately, I was screaming. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't give a fuck with everyone else out there. I screamed. There were a lot of moments that to get hype about. So, yeah, that's the non-spoiler section of this. I cannot say more because this movie is so easy to spoil, and I don't want to catch myself spoiling something again. So, yeah, it's up there with Spider-Man 2 and Into the Spider-Verse, I would say, and I would also say that maybe my favorite Spider-Man movie so far. Yeah, I like Into the Spider-Verse a lot, and I wanted to say that Far From Home and Spider-Man 2 were up there with Into the Spider-Verse for a long time for me, because I didn't want to fully commit to Into the Spider-Verse because it's not a live action one, but it is a Spider-Man movie. However, I do have to give it props where it's due, and for its style and for what it did for the Spider-Man character as well, because it does a lot Into the Spider-Verse, and the Sam Raimi Spider-Man 2 movie. I love Andrew Garfield as well, but I'm just bringing those two up because those are the top two ones. But I will say that No Way Home is up there as possibly my current favorite movie, and I'm going to rewatch that whenever I get the chance. I'm gonna definitely rewatch No Way Home a couple of times. That being said, if you do not want to get spoiled on anything, please click away. Tell me what you, if you left and came back to watch the rest of this video, or if you just left and you want to come back and watch, or even if you just fucking watched the movie already and you just getting through all this bullshit. Leave a comment down below, subscribe, follow. That would be very appreciated. I'm planning on getting my own apartment hopefully by next month, so I'll be able to set up my whole stream setup the way I really wanted to, little by little, and make more YouTube videos, which is one of my reasons for looking for my own place, because instead of having a roommate. So hope I'll be bringing up more videos, and some of my Twitch videos I'm going to bring over to YouTube as well for you guys to follow. But spoilers, if you have not watched No Way Home and you want to experience the full capacity of that movie, leave right now, please. But follow and subscribe, whatever it is. Oh boy. Wow. I left with my eyes wide open. Hold up. I left the movie theater with my eyes wide open, and went to Barnes& Noble's right next to where my movie theater is. Looked around for a couple things, and I got these as soon as I could, because, yeah, I want to read through them. One of them is about the history of Spider-Man movies and whatnot. The other one is just about No Way Home. Boy, shit. Damn, this movie is something. Matt Murdock. I have to throw that out the window right now. Matt Murdock. Woo! I teared up inside. Because last week, minor spoilers for Hawkeye. If you haven't watched it, you should be watching it. If you didn't, you should be watching it. I'm sorry, I'm going to spoil this right now real quick. So stop listening for like 2 minutes if you haven't watched Hawkeye at all. Boy, when we got Kingpin last week, people were saying, now we're just missing Daredevil. We're missing, and I even told my friend at work, like, hey, I don't even care if we get Daredevil or not. I just want Matt Murdock. And Charlie Cox, the actor that played Daredevil in the Netflix series, which was part in cooperation with Marvel, I guess, but not really. Charlie Cox was announced to play Daredevil at some point, a comeback in our MCU. So when we got Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin from the Daredevil series, Netflix Daredevil series, in the Hawkeye episode, I screamed in my room while watching it, and I was just waiting. Okay, so you got the interrogation scene. I have to put that out there because. If this is a spoiler talk, so you guys watch the movie, I don't need to tell you that the movie starts off with, at the end of Far From Home, and them like being chased, that you saw in the trailer as well, and fucking at some point being arrested. So when you have the trailer shot of Spider-Man, aka Peter Parker, in the interrogation room, and you see like the arm over there with like the pulled up sleeve arm, and people are saying that's gotta be Daredevil. He's like the person that's dropping the person that's dropping hold up, what's going on here? The person that's dropping books on the files on the table, that's gotta be Matt Murdock. No, it was somewhere else. The scene with him, like, I was so excited. Like, you see him, I was, you had, again, like you probably heard earlier in the review, in the non-spoiler review, there were pops in the audience. I was over there like, oh shit, it's him, he's finally back. I was like getting excited as hell, because Charlie Cox did a great job with the Daredevil character, I feel, in the Netflix series. And it's nice to have him back. I'm curious to see what the MCU is going to do with him. I have total faith in them with the way they've been handling characters. Obviously, Eternals was not a movie that some people loved or liked at all. I liked Eternals a lot for very different reasons. I made a review of it actually. Don't look for it because it's not there. Unfortunately, I forgot to upload it. And But I actually like the movie for various reasons. Maybe I'll upload the Eternals review at some point. But I was teary eyed. I was getting teary eyed. I got very emotional with this movie. I love Spider Man to death. Like since I was a very little kid, I loved Spider Man. I'm 30 years old, almost 31, and I'm still like Spider Man. Batman, I'm not as attached to as I am to Spider-Man, but I'm still one of my favorite DC characters. Obviously, I'm just bringing that up just to give you a context of my main ones. So when it comes to like anime and manga, for example, like I'm a huge fan of Berserk, and people who follow me on the Discord, my Twitch page, they know that I get very personal when it comes down to criticism about Berserk. Yes, there is criticism about that series, but yeah, that's just to tell you how passionate I am about these characters. They played a very important role in my life and in getting through things, and Spider-Man is definitely no exception to that. So to see his world being integrated properly into the MCU, which is something that I adore. If you guys, and this is again dwelling a little bit off topic, if you guys ever loved or played or watched videos, which if you haven't, I would suggest you do. You can look it up on YouTube. All the videos of the PlayStation 1 Spider-Man game does an excellent job in integrating what the Spider-Man that I wanted to see in live action. Playful, smart, responsible, and how do you call it? And also the way he interacts with all the other heroes was to me very important. So to see him casually talk to Captain America, to Ant-Man, to Iron Man, to all these characters when Civil War popped up, that warmed my heart because that slowly walked in the direction of what I wanted to see. And unfortunately, a lot of these actors are high-paid actors, so it's hard to bring a lot of them together unless you're doing a collaboration movie. So be sure to check that out on YouTube. Like it's a really fun game. The movie is very short because the gameplay is what matters the most. But like the clips of the story, they're quite short, so it's not a long view, and it gives you a good idea of the type of Spider-Man that, for example, that I've wanted to see on screen. So yeah, that first pop with Daredevil, I would definitely say that. It's nice to have Flash Thompson kind of be still. He's like being extra with his fanboy of Spider-Man ish. And after finding out that Peter Parker's Spider-Man, like there's this little gag where like he's trying to pretend like he's Peter's best friend despite the bullshit that he's done, and minor bullshit, nothing too crazy bullying. But so yeah, I feel like Flash Thompson has gotten he got like a douchebag treatment, I would say. By that I mean they gave him the douchebag personality in the movies, but still playful enough to be lovable. So if minor things or minor events happen in the future that they want to go into, they still can. Okay, where do I continue this review? Because there's so much I could just pinpoint out. Peter Parker. Okay, we thought for the longest time that, and by that I mean don't say like I'm just bullshitting for myself, but the crowd thought that Doctor Strange was a little off in the trailers, that he was just going along with this spell for no fucking reason, this dangerous spell, so to say, for no fucking reason, and that it could have possibly been Mephisto, it could have possibly been the what if Doctor Strange. And I'm happy that the explanation for him going along with this spell made a little bit more sense, and I could see why he acted that way, I guess. He felt bad for Peter. He understood, like, all right, I'll do this. And the spell wasn't to, I guess, the spell was, I guess, yeah, it could have been better handled, but we have to keep in mind that, and this is something that some people have a hard time accepting. We have to keep in mind that Peter's in high school. He's still a kid. Yeah, he's very smart, but he's still a kid in high school. Now, I he who what's that saying again? I hope I'm not botching this right now, but he who has never sinned throw the first stone. I think that's the saying. In like if you say like, oh, I never would have done that as a kid, like bullshit. Like we were all young ones. We made a bunch of stupid mistakes as well. It's hard not to accept that. Um, Peter fucked up, yeah, while making the spell. Maybe I love how Doctor Strange points it out. Like, wait, when it comes to like the with Peter talking about him being rejected his college form, his college application. I love how Doctor Strange points out, like, wait, did you try to appeal it at all? Did you try to at least fight why they didn't accept you and maybe have a word with them, talk to them a little bit? Because wait, so you made me do this entire bullshit out of nowhere without even having tried to really go into the school? So I honestly felt like that Ned and MJ would have at some point revealed that they were accepted. I didn't think that. I thought that was a twist that was going to appear, that they just said that so that they wouldn't have to leave Peter's side, because they knew that how annoying it was going to be for him as well. So they didn't do it. So I guess the definitive answer was that they were involved with Spider-Man, so they were not allowed to be part of it. So the college wasn't comfortable with letting them in. So uh, again, like I mentioned earlier on this review, is in the non-spoiler section of this review, the chemistry between them is very, very cool. I honestly thought that it was going to develop to something maybe of jealousy between Ned and MJ, because Ned obviously was the man on the chair, like for Spider-Man, and now that there were clear moments that Peter was entrusting certain things more to MJ than to his friends, and so I felt like there was going to be a conflict at some point, which didn't happen, and it's actually appreciated that it didn't happen, because I think that would have been too much extra plot for a very occupied movie already. So I'm glad that they left that out so they could make more room for different plot elements. Uh, I am happy that it wasn't just Dr. Octavius taking over nanotech and just using it to fight all of them. Um, I'm happy that that wasn't a thing. I'm glad that as soon as you got that clip of Peter like being clipped against the wall, the column under the bridge, Peter was like, "Hey yo, that's my nanotech. Give me that shit back," and just straight up like disabled him. Um, so Dr. Octavius coming back, we knew that. We knew the Green Goblin was gonna come in. I thought we were gonna get more scenes with him actually wearing the full suit. I'm okay with them not doing it, because it was still, like people said, it was still very Power Ranger ish, the costume, and the way they developed the whole incorporated, excuse me, the whole him going to Aunt May's shelter and playing, or being, excuse me, being the I know, because he did legit take control for a little bit, his normal self, unless he was tricking them the whole time. I'm still, again, I just watched the movie in my head, it's all over the place. But I love how he got like the purple and the green sweater with the purple hoodie, that whole get up. I thought it was just going to end at that with the callback, because I tried to avoid as many spoilers as possible. So when you see him in the glider with like the purple hoodie and like the waistband and like the pumpkin bombs and the extra gear, like that makes more sense. I guess that's more comic book accurate as well. It's very appreciated. Um, but yeah, so I thought we were gonna get more scenes with his Sam Raimi outfit actually, which I'm happy, I guess, that we didn't, because we got the transition right away. I honestly thought before the movie that that maybe he could have said like, in this universe I'll be like a hobgoblin or something like that. Good thing they didn't. I would have been fine if they did with the hoodie and everything. I would have been fine if they did. They didn't do it. I'm okay with it as well, because that leaves possibilities for maybe other characters to become the Hobgoblin in the future if they want to go that route eventually. But for the Hobgoblin to exist, there has to be a Green Goblin first. So That was cool. Jamie Foxx did his job as Electro again. I like that people were like, "Oh, wait, so he has a reactor now? Like, what's going on with him getting yellow and electricity?" I'm glad that he originally got his blue energy when he was coming into that universe, and then we transitioned to why he got his full body form, and explanation why he got his full body form eventually. Um, Different energies, different universe. It's a fair argument. I'll take it. Like I'm not sure it needed to be a complex or very decisive explanation as to why he looks different in this universe. I'm okay with just him saying like the energy, the electricity here is different, and in my universe is better. I'm cool with that. Um, the lizard was already locked up. So you skip that introduction, I guess, which is fine by me because they paced it well and he still got good moments. Dr. Connors, Kurt Connors, as the lizard. The villains have a lot of chemistry among each other. I gotta stop hitting that table here. The villains have a lot of chemistry with one another. Willem Dafoe did a great job. I love the sad puppy voice that he makes when he was playing the regular Osborn character, Norman Osborn character, when he was in the shelter, and how he like acts worried and talks worried, and then switches it up to the rugged goblin voice. That I love that, and just gave me flashbacks to Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 1 ASAP, because Willem Dafoe is a great actor, and he did himself right as playing like the crazy goblin character in this movie actually. Um, and that sequence with Aunt May was heartbreaking. I can't believe. Hold up. So I need to get something straight. I need to understand something. I'm jumping all over the place. I'm sorry. I need to understand. Did Uncle Ben in this universe, in the MCU universe, because he got referenced in What If, did Uncle Ben in this universe die with the words, um, "With great power comes great responsibility," or is Aunt May Tom's, aka this Peter Parker's Uncle Ben then? Because from we'll get into the other Spider-Man shit later, but when they have that scene talking to about each other, and Tom, and I keep telling him Tom because I know him as Tom Holland. That's how I know him. He's Tom Holland, aka Spider-Man, aka Peter Parker. But when Peter Parker, Tom Holland, that's a better way to say it. We're gonna have three Spider-Man later, so we gotta call them by their actors. When Tom brings up that, hey, how do you guys know that phrase, and they say my uncle Ben, our Uncle Ben said it as well before they died, as if that it was uh, going back to Loki Disney Plus series, as if that was the point that needed to happen in this universe. Their beloved that died. Um, so I'm curious whether or not Aunt May played the Uncle Ben role in Tom Holland's universe, at least, and that's why she's the one that says that phrase. Because Kevin Feige, I think, brought it up that with great power comes great responsibility phrase was going to appear in this movie. So people thought that maybe we were going to talk about Uncle Ben a little bit more. Maybe we were going to reference him. And no, it shocked me to see that they brought that phrase forward in this manner, and I'm fine with it. It's an interesting take on the multiverse thing that we're going for. Um, um, Shit, like I think someone brought it up that why it was important for Tom Holland Spider-Man to be the type of character, the Spider-Man that doesn't kill anybody, doesn't let anyone die, because in the comics Spider-Man tries to save as many people as he can, even the villains. He does not discriminate whether you're a good person, a civilian, or a hero or a villain. He will try to save you no matter what, because life is important. He had, just like again the Batman situation, like they experience someone die within their family right in front of their eyes, and that's why it was very important for them to uh, have so much importance for living, for keeping people alive. and and the way that it got brought throughout this movie in particular, with Aunt May being that pivot point, that push point for Peter to realize why it's important that you cannot be selfish. Just because it's convenient for you, it doesn't mean that it's the right thing to do. If you have this power, then you can do it, and you should do something about it. I felt that it was well introduced early on in the movie. It was well brought forth throughout the movie, as well to the climax of her sequence where she unfortunately dies, where she also had me tearing up. Where you get like the swerve, because after she gets hit by the goblin glider, you have a moment where she stands up and she's helping Peter for a bit, and you're like, okay, she's gonna be okay, and then nope. She's like, I need to lay down for a bit. I need to catch some breath. And Peter's like, okay, sure. And you're like, oh no, they're actually gonna do it, unless they want to pull. Because my other thought as well was that they were possibly just gonna pull the King, especially because they introduced Kingpin, that at the Back to Black storyline a little bit, where she would otherwise be in a hospital for the rest of the series or the rest of the movies, and etc. etc. Not gonna spoil that because there's a whole other really good storyline that they could always delve into if they want to, because of different other reasons that I'll talk about later. But Aunt May, damn, Marissa Tomei, great job. You were a wonderful Aunt May. Great, excellent job. Like, this past sequence with her was emotional, strong, and it delivered on the "with great power comes great responsibility" phrase very well, because you needed to have power coming out of that phrase for Peter to understand it. And at least we got that development. We got 3 movies with her. He loved her to death. She knew his identity. She knew his true identity as Spider-Man as well. She was cool with it. She was supportive with it. So that bond was there already, very important. So to see her pass away in front of his eyes, and leave that message to him, it was very important for this Spider-Man to have. Which leads me to my next point, which is these 3 Spider-Man movies did what Casino Royale did a little bit, in the sense, if you like James Bond Casino Royale, Daniel Craig's Casino Royale, which I absolutely love. Quick summary for that movie, non-spoiler. The movie starts off in black and white. You get a sequence with him, and then you go to the rest of the movie where it's pure full color. And you're like, all right, maybe that black and white shit was the flashback, the origin to James Bond, to him becoming 007, because it was a reboot of the entire character. Towards the end of the movie, you realize that, oh wait, this entire movie was origin story, actually. It wasn't just that black and white clip, it was this entire movie. And towards the end of the movie is when he fully develops the James Bond character. Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man Far From Home, Spider-Man No Way Home. These 3 movies are technically his origin story. You hear the "with great power comes great responsibility" line. You see him concluding the villains in this movie. These P3 movies were just an introduction to our high school character, and now with the newly announced trilogy that they're supposedly working on, hopefully Spider-Man 4 onwards, Peter in his college years, now we're going to get the Spider-Man that people wanted to see out of him, and that's the Tobey Maguire / Andrew Garfield Spider-Man that's in college, or I guess in Tobey Maguire's case, like, was in college and got out of college and became Spider-Man, a full-fledged Spider-Man. And I'm happy with that. That shit blew my mind for a little bit, because it is an interesting way to handle a character. You're giving that character actual time. We kept saying, like, oh, thank God we skipped over the origin story, because we didn't need it. Meanwhile, we were still getting the origin story. I'm not gonna lie, we got a little bit swerved when we got a little bit swerved when Michael Keaton, aka the Vulture in this universe, said that he was shooting some scenes for the movie. Um, Fuck you for that. With all due respect, I love you, Michael Keaton, but damn, I was like, okay, when's the Vulture coming in? Hopefully he's gonna come in. He's gonna come in any second now, right? Yeah, like, he caught me off guard with that. Like I believed him, or maybe they're gonna do it for like deleted scenes for Blu-ray or something. Um, there is a sequence in the. Oh wait, hold up! Before I go there, when Doctor Strange is fighting Spider-Man, really good, well put together. I love the little tease, the little hint, the little, slash little how do you call it? The little reference to the What If episode where Spider-Man wears Doctor Strange's levitation coat and cape, and you have that sequence a little bit in the fight, which is cool. I'm like, oh, I get that shit. Like I'm like Captain America over there. I get that reference. Uh, the introduction to our Spider-Man couldn't have come at a better moment. I honestly thought that we were going to, because um, you have that line in the trailer where like Doctor Strange says like I can't control them, I can't stop them from coming in, which I guess referenced at the very end when the multiverse was breaking, but and I thought that that's when the Spider-Man were going to show up. And again, I tried to keep myself from spoilers the past couple days, so I stayed away from everything. I didn't want to hear anything from anyone. I wanted to be surprised. So, hold up. Oh, when you have, I'm flipping out. I'm sorry. I love this movie so much. When you have, uh, when you have, friggin' Ned after Alan May passes away, and you have J. Jonah Jameson like shit talking the fuck out of Spider-Man in like on the screen in Times Square, and you have and like Peter watching the shit talk, the trash talk, and like destroyed because he just lost his fucking aunt, his caretaker, um, and you have Ned, who by the in between that sequence, he like took the sling rings and shit, the sling ring from Doctor Strange. He got it from Peter, and it was a gag as well where he tells Doctor Strange like, oh, well, you know, they say that my family has magic in them as well, and you find out that he can actually do magic down with the sling rings, that he's actually capable of bringing it forth. That was pretty cool. But when he says, or when him and MJ agree upon like about. Finding Peter because his head is probably all over the place, and he does the shit, and you have, I swear, I'm not sure if people picked up on it in the theater because I didn't get the pop from it, but I was freaking out as soon as he opens up. I'm like, I know that fucking costume. You can't lie to me. I know that costume. You There he is, and he comes through, and that whole sequence was cute. I felt like it was a little dragged on. It was a little bit weird with Andrew Garfield, and not because of him, because I love his Spider-Man, and throughout the rest of the movie he was great. He was amazing. Just that little sequence was a little awkward, I felt, but as soon as he comes through, I'm like, yes, and. And they're still in character. They're still in character in their own universes. I love that. Um, and then you have the sequence where they say, okay, well, if he's not here, let's try again. Let's find him again. So he does the sling ring shit again, and you have Tobey Maguire coming through, and that's where the crowd lost it a little bit in my theater, which is cool. At least that they appreciate that. Like they lost it a little bit with when Andrew Garfield popped up, but I was freaking out with it when I saw the eye shadow already, the eye protectors already. So when Tobey Maguire comes, he looks older. He looks a little tired. It's a wholesome moment. I'm not gonna lie, it's very very cool. This is becoming a very long video. I know. Sorry. Shit. It's cool that this amazing. It's so spectacular that they were able to pull this off and get it done, and I'm so happy they did it. I'm so very happy they did it, because I guess aside from Aunt May dying and telling Peter like, hey, don't kill them, they need help, and reestablishing that protection role for Peter, that you have to be a protector, not a leader protector. Just you have to protect lives, not be okay with with having people die on you. Just like, for example, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man that let the Goblin die, that let Doctor Octopus die, that let Harry die, or like the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man who let Gwen Stacy, Officer Stacy, and the Lizard die. You, actually, no, the Lizard. Lizard was, no, the Lizard was kept alive. That's right. At the end of that movie, I remember. Yeah, yep, he was kept alive. But Electro, he definitely died. So it's nice that you had those supportive characters. It was very reminiscent of Into the Spider-Verse, where Miles had to go through something similar, where he got destroyed mentally by something that happens, and you had the other Spider-Man going to his side and giving him that moral support that he needed to hear for him to establish himself as Spider-Man. So it's nice, and people who were speculating that Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man was going to be, who is also the oldest since he was the first movie Spider-Man. They wanted him to be that Uncle Ben character / that model character for this Peter to learn something from. And when Peter obviously is about to fucking kill the fuck out of the Green Goblin, because he definitely was, it's nice that Tobey jumped in and stopped him, and they made that eye contact that he needed to, okay, I'm going too far, kind of thing. And I'm glad that Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin still stayed in character and didn't hesitate to stab the fuck out of him. So yeah, that little sequence obviously where he's just like, fuck, he stabbed him ASAP. I'm like, oh shit, yeah, no, that's in character. He wouldn't hesitate to waste time like that, yeah. So and that fight sequence is, oh my god, did fucking did Green Goblin rock bottom the fucking Spider-Man in the apartments? Like, that fight sequence was amazing. The one-on-one shit was amazing. There's a point where he just grabs him by the legs and just slams them on the floor hard as fuck, and they just go floor to floor every single time. It was a really good fight sequence. I like that Dr. Octavius gets redemption in this movie, because I really love his reincarnation, his character in the movies, not just the Sam Raimi ones, but in this one too. I love that Peter brings up the whole, his ship got fried. That's the only reason why these tentacles are taking over him. Let's fix this. And they managed to fix it. I liked the chemistry between Willem Dafoe and Tom Holland, actually, because it feels more natural as him, if you consider that Norman Osborn was being Norman Osborn himself and not the Green Goblin. If you consider that he's the older guy that he was in his movies, who was smart, into a corporate person, and who appreciated young, smart people, it would only speak for itself that he knew that he would appreciate Tom Holland's Spider-Man in this universe, and that's cool as hell. That's really fun as hell. I love their chemistry between one another. I love that you get to see a little bit more into you get a little bit more of Peter's tech savviness and him playing around with being and showcasing how smart he is. Yeah. Electro was great. Lizard had his moments. I loved, and I haven't spoken too much about Toby or Andrew, but that just speaks for itself how good they were. Like, I love that we got. If people will probably say, some of you will probably say with that, oh, we wanted the, oh, like, who are you kind of Spider-Man kind of moment, the whole thing of the two Spider-Man pointing at each other. People will probably say, or maybe did not get or see, or I'm not sure if I'm just overthinking this. The reference was there. It was in the lab where Ned's like, hey Peter, and then all of them turn around and then they're like, oh, she probably meant you, and they're like pointing at each other. I think that was supposed to be that reference. I love that they talked about Tobey Maguire's natural webbing, which was cool that they got into it, and they they when they're in the Statue of Liberty, they talk about it too, and there's a little gag which I really love. It's a great moment. They have great chemistry together, and you definitely feel that there's a difference in their personalities and their perspectives on things, but at the same time, it still feels very. It still feels like it was brought together dialogue wise, really well. Um, I love them. You have multiple scenes. You have a sequence where they're swinging together. You have a scene where they're landing together. You have the final goodbye where they're hugging each other. It's it. Oh man, this movie. If you love Spider-Man, what a great time to be alive for a Spider-Man fan, man. Like holy shit, this movie is fucking phenomenal. Um, the whole shit of Doctor Strange saying like, listen, because I love how Peter finds the solution for it and says, you know what, and he decides to be selfish and say, hey, by the way, um, just do it, just erase. Everyone's protected, everyone's healed, no one's gonna die, everyone got quote unquote fixed, because everyone does get to a certain degree fixed, and they get to make their amends with their respective Spider-Man as well. Um, I love how Peter says, "All right, you know what? The only way to really solve this right now is to do the spell that I botched because I was being selfish, because I wanted to make everyone forget that I was Spider-Man, but accept certain people because I wanted to be selfish and keep them in my life, and I was being very specific. You know what? How about I have to be selfless right now? What if everyone just forgot that I was Spider-Man, even my loved ones, even the people that I care about?" And Doctor Strange was like legit. I don't have to tell you, you watch the movie. He was like, okay, but that means even I'm gonna forget. Everyone's gonna forget that you helped to save the world. That fucking Stark Industries aren't gonna have nothing to do with you because they don't know who you are. Unless maybe they find a loophole by just have Spider-Man go to them personally, in that sense. Um, However, I feel that the outcome of this movie is very pivotal in how the Spider-Man movies onwards are gonna shape up, at least, and that is they finished, they managed to pull the friggin' One More Day storyline somehow. Amazing work that you managed to do it without having to use Mephisto, which again kind of sucked. I kind of wanted to see Mephisto to a certain degree, but but Doctor Strange's powers were important to making this movie conclude properly. Um, like Spider-Man doesn't have the power to pull these spells off. Doctor Strange does. So, and he had to agree with Spider-Man. So I don't think Mephisto would agree with shit. He would have to have been defeated, and shit would have gone down the rails. So I'm happy that Doctor Strange it was just him, and I'm glad that the explanation for him being out of the movie for a good amount of time was him being stuck in the mirror realm and mirror dimension, and he didn't have a sling ring to get out of it, I guess. So I'm okay with that explanation. But the fact that everyone forgets is now that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and I think that everyone forgets who Peter Parker is. Period. Because at the end of the movie, MJ doesn't recognize him, and if she knew who he was, then she would at least recognize him from class in high school. So the idea is that everyone just forgot who Peter Parker was. Period. So it's almost like walking into a new world completely, where you kind of know people, but they don't know who you are or that you ever existed, which is an interesting way to go up about it, I guess. Because I guess that means also that Flash Thompson doesn't hate Peter for no reason, because he hated him, he bullied him in school because in high school, unless they end up going to the same university in the future, and he still can't stand Peter's ass for whatever reason. And Peter just manages to get along with it just because he knows the real shit, what happened in the past. But the implications of everyone forgetting who Peter is very it's going to be very important, because we're back to that classic style of Spider-Man storytelling where no one knows his identity, and it's going to have to come forth eventually. We know that it's going to have to come forth eventually. But just how and when they're gonna do it, it's gonna create that tension towards when we're gonna build towards that back. I like that J. Jonah Jameson at the start of the movie had a green screen because he was just a vlogger, like a vlogger that was spreading shit news over Spider-Man online, and I guess because of that popular video, he got promoted to an actual news anchor now, news reporter. That's cool. And I like how at the end of the movie, then it pays off by having that very well-known atmosphere of J. Jonah Jameson shit talking the fuck out of Spider-Man, but at this point we don't know who Spider-Man really is, his identity. So so when you have so when you have again, everyone forgot who Peter Parker was, so Peter can't go back to Stark Industries and be that Tony Stark Jr. that people talked about the past three movies. He has to start his shit anew. Um, so when he tries to start his new life at the end of the movie, and you have the small apartment that he's in, which is very iconic for him. Um and I guess he's not using Stark Tech no more, or maybe he will eventually, because who knows what he did with that final No Way Home suit. But you see him clearly suing his own suit now, which is what people wanted to see, and I guess relying more on his own personal powers and his own genius. Um, it's nice that we're going back to the roots a little bit, and I want to go off the rails and say that he probably got a little inspired, because I know we got the red and blue suit in I know we got the red and blue suit in Homecoming, but I want to also in a way believe that he kind of saw the suits that Toby and Andrew had, and he was like, all right, I want to go back to the blue and red. Although I personally really love the black and red suit myself. I actually had the costume myself that I purchased. Um, the Steve Ditko version of the costume, I really like that one. And you see him swinging in New York City, which is what we wanted to see again. We wanted to see Spider-Man in skyscrapers, and it feels like the introduction, the final chapter to his origin story, and the next four, five, six, the next trilogy that we may or may not get, feels like we're going to be doing Peter in college. Maybe he'll graduate from college after two movies, and maybe the last movie of the second trilogy will be him like full capacity Spider-Man maybe. Um, um, it's nice, it's beautiful, it's a great way of bringing that his trilogy as a closure, as being recognized as the young, unexperienced Spider-Man, and hopefully now he will develop from that onwards. One more thing that I do have to say that I forgot to talk about: I cried when MJ was falling, and you're like, and people in the trailers were like, all right, if Andrew and Toby are in this movie, if they are in this movie, then that hand is going to be replaced with Andrew Garfield's hand. It wasn't. Like Peter, you have that same exact sequence. The only difference is just that Peter got fucking taken out by the glider, the Goblin glider, and you just have that PTSD moment from Andrew, because throughout their conversations with the other two Spider-Men, there they could tell that he went through some bullshit with his private life, or a loved one that he let die. How he, like Andrew himself said it in the big with great power comes responsibility conversation, where like when was my MJ? So when he's having PTSD, seeing her, and he's crying when he's holding her, because I cried myself, mostly because I'm like, you did it, you redeemed yourself for yourself, you redeemed it, because he went through some shit himself too, and I'm getting teary out right now just because I know Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man 2 isn't a fan favorite either, but when you have that sequence of the little, it was people like have all kinds of problems with the scene. Obviously, I myself too, to a certain degree, but I personally just love that scene where Rhino's destroying the city again, and at the end of the movie, and Peter goes through some depression after Gwen dies. Andrew goes through depression, and Spider-Man's nowhere to be found. But the Rhino's like bullshitting shit, and Peter gets over his shit. You watch the movie, um, and this little kid, it makes no sense, I know, but this little kid in a Spider-Man suit like walks towards him like, "Oh, you stop that," or some shit like that. And Rhino's like, "Oh, you wanna fuck with me? Let's do this." And he starts, and out of nowhere, Andrew Garfield Spider-Man finally pops back up, and the kid says, "I knew you, I knew you were gonna come back." And he's like, "Yeah, thank you. I know. Thank you for having that patience. Thank you for for all the support." That scene hit me hard when I watched it in theaters myself, and it's a scene that I still think about a lot of times. So seeing Andrew come back is a great experience. He's a great actor. Andrew Garfield's a great actor. Unfortunately, his movies weren't put properly where they should have been, or well directed, or well written. There are moments in those movies, both those movies, that I love, but there are also a lot of moments that I dislike. And and you could tell, a lot of people have said is that you could feel that if he was put under better hands, maybe things would have been different. And this movie is proof of that. Um, there's so much in this movie to love. I said in my non-spoiler review that I feel like this would be a little bit over Into the Spider-Verse, and over Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2, and I stick with that idea. I want to give this movie an easy 9 out of 10. As a Spider-Man fan, I'm going to give this a 10 out of 10. Fuck it. As a movie viewer, maybe I guess you could argue with a 9 out of 10, unless you really dislike Spider-Man and the style that the MCU Spider-Man got brought over. Then maybe it'll still be like a 7 or an 8 out of 10 for you. But to me, it's a 10. To me, this is borderline a perfect movie, and it hits in all the right spots. And that's without saying the fucking fact that the Venom 2 post-credit scene, where he like shifts over to a different universe, and he's technically, I guess that's the gag, that he's still in a fucking resort, I guess, and he's trying to understand the concept of the Avengers, like the Hulk, like the bartender's talking to him about the Hulk, and he's like, and Venom and Eddie Brock are both like, "Okay, so let me get this shit straight." Um, and then the gag is like that the bartender's like, "All right, pay your tab," and he's like, well, I don't really want to have pay, or can't pay." And out of nowhere, like, just because the Doctor Strange spell gets undone, like, he goes back to his universe, so he doesn't have to, pay for the tab. I guess it was a nice little moment, and I guess Venom is in the movie, you could say, to a certain degree, and not really. I guess more Venom and Eddie Brock are both in the movie, but the stinger to that is the fact that we get shot of the symbiote under the cup where the Eddie was drinking from, and that symbiote sticks around. So it's implied that we will get a black suit symbiote Spider-Man, Tom Holland Spider-Man, at some point. I think that's what the implication is right now, since it's now in the MCU universe. And with the introduction of Kingpin and Vincent D'Onofrio happening, I think we can still get the Back to Black storyline, maybe to a certain degree, or to a certain point, or maybe just a reference to that. Maybe that will be I don't know, man. There's a lot of potential for this series now, for the Spider-Man MCU to go forth on. Um, there's a lot of stuff they could go with now if they really wanted to. Shit, this movie's so fucking good. Um, Also, it's worth noting that this movie most likely takes place right before Hawkeye, because we know Hawkeye, the Disney Plus series, is taking place right before Christmas, and it looks like winter is slowly happening in this movie. So it's nice that if Peter does come in conflict with, let's say, Kingpin, that it's nice that with what happened in this movie, that we established that Wilson Fisk, aka Kingpin, doesn't know who Peter is. It's nice that that's the relationship so far. So when they come in conflict, like he won't be able to send his mob people after his family or friends. That he's like, who the fuck is this kid, and who the hell is this guy, and I want to beat him up. And yeah, wow, a joyride, true and true. An hour video. That's how much this deserves. That's how much excitement I have for this series, for this movie, for Tom Holland as Spider-Man. He did. He does say a lot of things, and you see constant reports online of like, oh, like he's tired of acting. He wants to do his own thing. Like, yeah, they're in talks about a new Spider-Man trilogy, which would be really appreciated. I'm glad that a lot of these spoilers got. There were speculations, but I'm glad that a lot of these spoilers just didn't happen. As I mentioned earlier on as well, in my non-spoiler review, is that I got COVID unfortunately earlier in this month. I had to take my 2 weeks quarantine. I feel much better. I still have a little bit of a cough because I'm in the basement right now. Unfortunately, due to complications with my personal life, I had to get out of my own place. That's why I don't have any of my recording equipment with me until I get my new apartment next month. And it is cold as fuck in this place, and it's winter time, so I gotta be very careful. Um, it sucks, but what that leads into is me saying that I spent 3 hours on the release day of the movie tickets. I think it was November 29, to try and get no, November 27th, I think it was, when the tickets went online for No Way Home, to get premiere tickets. And I got two premiere tickets. And because of COVID, I was told that just to play it safe, even though my 2 weeks were done and I was feeling better, to play it safe, maybe it wasn't the best idea to um, gather in a huge crowd of sold out theater full of Spider-Man fans. um, and I had to think about my own health and the people that I lived with, and my father as well, and all those things, and make the choice of, you know what, I want to, but maybe it's better that I don't get sick again or risk getting it on me and then passing it on to someone else by accident. So that's why I watched it today, December 21. But I did have midnight screening tickets for the movie on December 16. I did have them. It just sucks that I would have loved to hear the pop of the crowds. If any of you have good links to crowd pop reactions, not of like the actual movie, but like just of the people reacting to certain scenes. I'm always down to watch them because I always get chills when the fans, the community gets together and enjoys things together. And yeah, my voice is raspy. I need to order some food because it is getting late, and I need to take care of a couple other things. If you stood by for the whole video, thank you. If you didn't, well, you wouldn't hear this, but follow, subscribe, comment down below. If you're gonna talk spoilers, please put in all caps spoilers at the beginning of your comment, so that people have the option to skip your comment if they want to. Uh, Please, if you can, try not to post any spoilers or talk about spoilers in your social media accounts, because there are people that still haven't seen the movie that want to see the movie, but just like myself, who didn't get the opportunity to, due to various possible reasons, and they had to stall to a different moment. And I've seen a lot of people like try and post spoilers about a lot of shit, and that's not cool. I always say, give at the very least a 1 week rule for those people that really wanted and were desperate to watch the movie. At least they have a 1 week to watch it. The week's not even over since it's been out, and people are spoiling the fuck out of it. I can tell already. I wasn't spoiled on much, really, luckily, but so I'm grateful for that. But hopefully you enjoyed this. I promise my other reviews are not supposed to be this long. It's just that this movie is just so wow. Um, Thank you for watching. If anything, have a wonderful day, wonderful night. Happy holidays in 4 days. Christmas is coming, New Year's coming up soon. So happy holidays to all of you guys. Thank you for watching. And otherwise, Feel free to follow me on Twitch, on YouTube, anywhere else. Just go to my channel because I'm going to upload this on my iPad. So I'm not sure I'm going to have to be able to modify this too much or put too much descriptions on it. I have to check it out. But yeah, take care and have a wonderful night otherwise. Bye.